recognize all the volunteers that have put so much effort into today and making it a success and a wonderful kickoff to our Philippine Heritage Month celebrations. Maligayang pagdiriwang ng buwan ng pamana ng lahing Pilipino. Sa buong buwan ng Hunyo, ipagpasalamat natin ang maraming pagpapala na mula sa kayamanan ng kulturang Pilipino. Ito rin ang panahon upang bigyang bugay ang maraming kontribusyon ng mga Pilipino sa Canada at sa buong mundo. Thanks to Mafti to help me. I've been taking Filipino heritage language classes with Mafti, and because of all their work, they've really put in all that effort to have the bilingual program at Winnipeg School Division. We know we've had that at Seminole School Division, and all the work and efforts that you guys have done really helped to build the identity of our younger Filipinos, and it's hard to put into words what having that identity and culture will mean to somebody's self-worth and to the uplift of the entire community. So thank you for your many, many years of dedication, and all the volunteers have put all their hard work into this. So in preparation for Philippine Heritage Month this year, I actually took some time out of my busy schedule to learn a little bit about our history as Filipinos in Canada. I was able to take a look at some articles that were published by the Filipino Journal by Dr. Rod Cantaveros, and I also got to speak to John Malik, who also is a board member from MAFTI and has also published his works about the Filipino community in Manitoba with the Filipino Express and in other published journals. Did you know that the first Filipino that's recorded in our Canadian history was all the way back in 1861? And this was a Filipino man named Benson Flores. He lived on a little island in British Columbia, and he was a fisherman. And in that time, over the next few decades, there was a very small Filipino community in British Columbia. But that community did not grow because there were many racist immigration policies at that time. And it wasn't until 1959 that Winnipeg saw its first Filipinas. There were 4 of them that came from Minnesota. They were Filipino nurses, Faye Vilorio Ryder, Purificacion de la Cruz, Melba Ruos, last but not least, Cora Niago. So these women, they were co-workers, and they were working at St. Mary's Hospital, and at the time, the United States had this exchange program, and they were able to work at the Misericordia Hospital. And they came by train, and that's how we started here in 1959, so that's 65 years ago, okay? And they were able to bring a lot of their family over. And then of course in the 1960s and 70s we had our garment industry here along Notre Dame, and those were mostly young women and a few men. And then they were also able to bring their many family members. And as Tita Perla said, now we are over 100,000 people strong in Manitoba. So what a feat. Certainly in that 65 years, so much has changed. We have an organization called Organize Manitoba, and I think Tita Perla actually was the founding member of that. And they recognize all the trailblazers in our province here, Filipino trailblazers, and we get to see now where Filipinos are here today from our very, very humble beginnings. We have such folks that are, the head of our Winnipeg Regional Health Authority, and folks that are huge in our music and arts culture. We're going to be opening our first ever Rainbow Stage production with an all-Filipino cast and production. Like, these are very, very huge milestones that we're doing together as a community, and it's really, really great. But I would just like to say that even with all the things that we've been able to accomplish together over the last 65 years here in Manitoba, there's still a lot more to go, isn't there? So one of the things that we're going to be working on together as a community is to continue to work on anti-racist initiatives, because we know that there still is a lot of racism. I personally, as a minister, have been called a Filipino pig that is trying to bring more Filipino pigs into Manitoba. So that's crazy racist, so we know that we have to do more anti-racism initiatives. We also have to really be more supportive of our arts, culture, and heritage and sports as a Filipino community. And we have a lot of work still left to do as it relates to the removal of unfair barriers to accreditation, making sure that there are pathways to work for people when they study and have the work experience that they're bringing to this country. I'm telling you, that is not a given. That is not a given. Let's ask our geoscientists and engineers, let's ask our teachers, and let's ask our nurses what that's like. It is not easy. So there's a lot more work to do there. We need to still work together to have clean and safe communities, right? And last but not least, my personal thing that is very, very important to me is making sure that we have better working conditions for people in the care sector. So that's home care, long-term care, community-assisted living, and childcare. These are mostly done by our people, actually, and we don't get paid very much to do it, and it's very, very difficult working conditions. There's a lot more to go on those fronts, but today is a day for celebrating. Let's celebrate our successes and look to the future for what we can accomplish together as a unified community here in Manitoba. Once again, I just want to thank the organizers from Filipino Heritage Council of Manitoba. You have been steadfast in all of your efforts all throughout these years. Even as a child, I still remember all the things that you guys have been doing to put this together. It's hard to quantify all your efforts and what it means for younger generations to be able to have their identity and their culture celebrated like this. Okay? So we cannot underestimate what you've done. Everything from preparing these things to making sure all the phone calls are there, having somebody be able to clean it up. And thank you to PCCM here. There's so many organizations, and I'm really, really glad that Tito Ernesto went all, and his co-host did a lot of effort to make sure that all the different organizations are named. But that's all I have to say for now. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful Filipino